Hi, this is Dan Watanabe.
And this is Saran Fox.
And this is Dan and Saran, Take on Hollywood. Today, we have a large panel because we are going to discuss a controversial topic, and that is classic movies that you hate. Now, these are movies that are widely regarded as classics, as monuments to the filmmaking art, and that you have probably seen in classes if you went to film school. And we're here to shatter that illusion that these are actually great movies. Joining us on our panel are Garen.
Hi, Garen Tanilian. I work on the other show, and I write.
Michael Gonzalez.
That's it.
Then
I'm
Compelling.
Jay. No, I'm kidding. My name's Jason. I do writing and directing and editing here on the shows of the network.
I'm Armin Fetulagian. Melania Trump plagiarized my speech. Yeah. Hi.
So let's start this out. Saran, can you name us one movie that will shock everybody and maybe even provoke?
Well, we have all boys.
fisticuffs?
We have all boys on this panel, and I'm going to
That's
start.
not true. Garen's here.
Yay, penis.
And
No,
Stacy.
all right, everybody, calm down. Scarface.
I haven't seen it.
Terrible movie. Overacting.
Wait, you haven't seen it?
No,
I
I've
haven't
seen
either.
it.
Oh, I think you haven't
I
seen
just
it.
happen to agree.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
But for different
Scarface.
reasons, I'm sure,
Overacted. No redeeming qualities. Overacted. Gratuitous violence. I am not against violence at all.
but did you say overacted?
And then overacted. This is kind of Al Pacino giving us a preview of what he's going to do in Hoo-ah! when his career started to go downhill. Michael, your thoughts?
I actually, this doesn't provoke because I happen to agree, but on a different level. It's supposed to invoke that whole, like, the American dream of, like, oh, you come here and you make something of yourself and no, whatever, but it's, like, a really obviously distorted version of that. It's that plus the weird stuff with, oh, God, what is her name? The sister.
Elizabeth
yeah,
Mastrosani,
the whole,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a lot of weird stuff going on. I don't like the message necessarily that it sends per se. I think that's what I think would really
For you?
For me, yeah.
You're looking at the theme.
Right. Yeah, I'm
And
looking at it thematically
the,
speaking. Yeah,
I'm looking at his awful accent. I mean, and,
Oh, 'cause-
and the
yeah,
scene,
because
and
all
he
Latin
had a
guys
ball.
talk
He
like
chewed
that.
the scenery up, down, left, right.
Right.
And Dan, what are your thoughts?
Well, he's fully capable of doing a marathon with Faye Dunaway in Mommy Dearest in terms of the most laughs per second in that movie.
Yes.
Plus, it was the movie that put Oliver Stone on the map as a quote unquote great filmmaker,
Yeah.
Right.
which in turn led to him making one of my most hated movies, which was Platoon. And Born on the 4th of July, and pretty much anything he's done except for Wall Street, which he kind of had that Douglas Sirk quality. But the other thing that it led to, and this is a really unforgivable part of it, is it led to the TV show Miami Vice. And if you look
Miami
at
Vice
the
is
look,
great. What are you
it's
talking
great.
about?
Oh, here it comes.
How dare you? The movie, yes, you can besmirch, but
Miami
don't
Vice
you
is
besmirch that
awesome.
TV show?
Miami Vice as a TV show was one of the things that really hurt television in the mid 80s because it suddenly kicked up the budgets to where you couldn't do light detective thrillers anymore. You couldn't use you couldn't use sound-alike music for the music. So it kicked up the budgets to the point where they couldn't do the wide variety of shows anymore. They had to only do the really, really big kind.
And if you look at this is a little off topic, but if you look at Miami Vice now, it is so freaking dated. The plots
No, it's
are
not. It
dated,
holds up.
and of course the clothes. We could do a whole hour on the clothes.
I watched a pilot a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
I'm born in 1990. This thing came out in, what, 83?
84.
Yeah, I think it held up. It was enjoyable.
But
It was better than most
and
of the crap
there
they
were a
ever
couple
given
of there was a good one. There was one with Don Henley. Oh, not Don Henley, Glenn Fry, and one of the Eagles acted in it. But I also would like to name another film, Sound of Music, which is regarded by
The Hills Are
Dan?
It's a
Oh, yeah, I'll tackle on this one.
treacly, silly.
I'm on Saran side with this. Yeah, I kind of think it's a little overrated.
Sound of Music. It is not Rodgers and Hammerstein's best musical, and it's so the way it treats the Nazis. It's very, and the music isn't that great.
Wait, what do you mean the way it treats the Nazis?
Nazis.
Well,
Like those
it's-
poor Nazis?
No, the way it the way it portrays the Nazis. It had like two
feelings, too.
ways of the film is very sweet and very you are 16 and do re mi, and then it has the Nazis.
Yeah.
So it was like two movies.
That was the fascist Mussolini.
And also this feisty little nun comes in, and she's going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to be the wife to this guy with all these children. But they did stay together in real life, so I guess it did work out.
It was based on something in real life?
Yes.
I thought it was just totally contrived.
No, it's
I did
the
not know
Von
that.
Trapp family were real.
Just,
Here's where the Sound of Music is actually the greatest movie of all time. First
I
of all,
saw that
it's
coming.
all about liberation. It's all about female empowerment. It's all about why being a nun and escaping from the confines of a convent to find sex in the arms of a masculine guy is such a good thing. And if you look at Liesel, she's saved from worse than death with a Nazi. So there's all sorts of good things in it in terms of how if you live your life according to the bumper stickers from The Sound of Music, you will be happy. When the Lord closes a door somewhere, he will open a window. How many of us have been kicked to the curb by a fallen romance or from a job, and then, hey, it's opened up the door to something else?
Well, Dan is doing his professorial thing. He's looking at themes, and I think for me, I'm looking at the visceral experience of sitting in the theater or watching it on TV and thinking, oh my God, poor little sugar on me. That's my.
How can you
that's
say
my
that
take
about a
on it.
movie that has Eleanor Parker playing the Baroness, who wears the exact gown that a drag queen would want her to wear as she's being kicked to the curb by Christopher Plummer? And how can you dislike something where you realize that Eleanor Parker has the right attitude towards the kids at one point, where she wants to send them off to that wonderful place called boarding school, because she wants to have fun with the captain. When he goes to her parties in
Julie
Vienna.
Andrews? You mean Julie Andrews?
No, when Eleanor Parker is saying this.
Eleanor Parker
realize
is the fiancée, right?
Is the Baroness.
Right. Oh,
and
I
you
forgot.
realize he has his gay friend, Max Detweiler, so with his gay friend and his Mae West type girlfriend, you know what kind of parties they were having in Vienna. And Julie Andrews is going to remove him from all of that. So yeah, I guess in a way it's good because he doesn't have to become a victim of a Marquis de Sade type orgy gone wrong. But by the same token, it's one of those things that has this adult side to it that is unexpected in a Rodgers and Hammerstein movie, and certainly is more mature in its approach than something like The King and I, which had a black man playing an Asian, which was weird to me. I guess they also have that in Flower Drum Song, so what can you say? But
Yeah, well, Dan always
Yeah.
brings an interesting perspective, and
remember,
to
Sound of
say the
Music
least.
led
Now,
to
I'm
Easy
going to
Rider.
I'm going to surrender the floor for now to someone, but I want to give my classic or the movie that I think should never have been made, and I tell people half jokingly, do not mention it in my presence because it doesn't exist, and that is Godfather 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, of course.
Because the Godfather saga,
yeah.
for me, ended with those final scenes, those heartbreaking scenes. It's the story of a
heartbreaking like Peyton Place.
good man's descent into hell. That's
Yeah.
basically what it
on
what
its
it
own,
is.
I think part 3 holds up, but compared to the other two, it's not good.
Yeah. If the first two hadn't been made, yeah, it would be kind of an interesting movie. But they buzz cut him and said, "I thought I was out," and then he
they
gets
pulled me
together
back.
with
Yeah.
Kay, and,
Such a great-
it just kind of
I liked it better when
Fredo.
Johnny Depp
kind of
said it.
watered down and diluted the impact of the first two movies.
I totally
So
agree with
powerful.
that. Yeah.
Well, plus all of a sudden you have Talia Shire threatening to kill the Pope, and she's supposed to be this victim-y type girl, and you have and you had Diane Keaton running around as if she just escaped from Mrs. Southville or something like that.
And thank God they shot Sofia Coppola. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I think Coppola must have needed the money.
And then
That's
nobody
what I'm
said.
thinking.
Well, that was an unintended consequence too, because critics felt so bad about knocking Sofia Coppola. She then, for some reason, got this reputation for being a fabulous filmmaker. When what has she made that's been borderline decent? I mean, Marie Antoinette.
Lost in Translation was a really good movie.
No.
Is
No,
Iron Man-
I-
Gotcha.
I think
Totally
that I
wrong.
thought it was.
Is she
I
I
think it
agree.
was a terrific
I like that
Eternal
movie.
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Is that her?
Okay, well, let me
no.
let's turn the
No, it's
spotlight
not.
on Jason Boyd.
Oh, God.
Jason, name a movie that so many people like and that you didn't.
I think Raging Bull's a pile of crap.
Oh,
Absolutely.
So
heresy!
boring.
Oh, you're just being. You are Dan Watanabe. You are just being contrary.
It's really boring.
I can't stand. And I hate him as a character, and I don't. I know it's based. Is it based loosely on something?
It's based on real life.
Yeah, it's based on
Jake
the
LaMotta,
yeah, the
yeah.
actual Jake
My
LaMotta. Yeah.
problem with any movie that's made about somebody or a situation that's just horrifying, they do one of two things wrong. They either turn it into a dramatic reenactment, and then it's like, what's the point? Because it doesn't have a character arc. Or they find some way to try and make it redeeming, but they're not a redeeming person, and so it's sort of they try to make you feel for a character that you can't stand anyway. Not in a Breaking Bad kind of way, but in like he was a jerk.
Okay, who wants to defend the movie? Who wants to defend the movie?
I'm going to actually second what Jason says, because if for one other reason, and that is that Raging Bull remakes became a subgenre of
that's
student
Well,
films.
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
That's true.
So every semester, there's at least some student film. If you go to any film festival,
to
that's
this
going
day.
to be a
To this
remake.
day, yes.
Yes.
To
Yes, it's
2016.
Yes.
I have worked on
Absolutely
one.
true. Mike Gonzalez, what's one of yours?
I'll bring it into the 2016s. There's a few Marvel movies that I feel are, and you know that I'm a huge nerd and I love that stuff. Some of the Marvel movies that I don't like or have not, even within the last 5 to 10 years, have not held up. Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3. I'm sorry, piles of crap.
Not as good as the first one.
Not
for sure.
even remotely as good as the first one. And hold on. And Thor 2.
Crap.
Horrible. Exactly.
No way.
You didn't even bother watching it.
No, I knew it was a pile of crap.
It's a pile of crap.
They're all Avengers prequels, so that's the point of those
Yeah.
movies. They're just fillers so that they
Exactly.
can make some money.
Exactly. They were filler movies, and you can tell. And the one that I wanted to like more than anything else, but it just Ant-Man.
Oh, you didn't like
I like
Ant-Man?
I did not like Ant-Man.
The one with
no.
Paul Rudd, right?
Yes.
Ant-Man had trouble though, because Ant-Man was Edgar Wright, and then he had to leave the project, and then the
Exactly.
director switched. Like, so you could tell there was
They
trouble
should
in
have
the
just
water.
Left him and let
Yeah.
him make his movie,
Yeah.
and then it would have
But,
been phenomenal.
but hold on. Is it you didn't like it because you knew that going in? Because me
No,
watching,
you can. Okay,
like I've seen
it's
Edgar
tough.
Wright stuff, but like I can't name any off the top of my head. So
Here's
Scott
I like
Pilgrim.
Ant-Man. I thought it was
Shaun
really
of
good.
the Dead.
Because it's clearly.
Spaced.
I mean, I do know it obviously consciously going in like, oh, this was an Edgar Wright
But you
movie,
still wanted it
but
to be a good movie.
I still want it to be a good
Yeah.
movie. One and two, I can tell, especially being a fan, I can tell that it's a diluted, watered down Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting,
Alright.
and it's like no.
And
Just
when
let
it's
the man do his thing, and just
And when it's the genre that you love so much, and then
Exactly.
you have to name
And
these
you-
films
yeah.
that don't, you have high
Yeah.
hopes for them.
Exactly.
Then you go into Armin. Can you name one of yours?
High Noon. I think that is the most boring Western I've ever seen in my life.
I can see.
I'd
that.
agree. I love
I would
its
agree.
remake.
I would
the
agree.
remake, Real Bravo, is so much better.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes,
the
because
reason
it has
why-
Dean Martin.
Yes.
And the reason why I don't like High Noon is because I'm watching. I forget the main actor's name. Who was it?
Gary Cooper.
I can't understand why Gary Cooper's character insists on just walking around going, "Help me, no, help me, no." Help. I'm like, just pull your gun out and like man up and like shoot the guy. Like,
Exactly,
you're a
he's the
cowboy.
sheriff.
Stop being a little bitch about the whole thing.
Yeah,
He's a pussy sheriff.
yeah. And Dan Watanabe, let's name one of yours.
I guess we're going.
Dan, yes.
Oh!
Knew it.
Oh,
knew it.
We've
Called it.
had this discussion
Shakespeare,
before.
all right.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's got Gwyneth Paltrow in it. How can you like
Gwyneth
Exactly.
Paltrow was awesome.
As the
Whoa.
inspiration
She
for
was-
William
She
Shakespeare.
was awesome.
Really?
The acting was
Okay.
amazing.
She was also in the Iron Man movies. I wonder.
Annoying blob.
Oh, okay. Let's leave the fact that she became goopy afterwards.
Goopy?
And then well, that's what my favorite gossip site is run by a flamboyant gay man who gives all these people names. It's called delisted.com. If any of you are interested, I read it every day. And he calls her Goopy because her site is called Goop. She stopped acting and she's become lecturer in chief, right? But she's a really fine actress. The first time I saw her in Flesh and Bone, she blew Meg Ryan off the screen.
Isn't she some environmentalist thing now? Or like,
I don't know
talking
what
about?
she is. These
Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah.
Did she
But-
quit acting?
I don't know.
No, well, she was
she's
in the
not-
Iron Man movies.
She's not really. She's not really.
She's very
acting.
pretty for I don't know how old
Okay,
she is. but she looks
besides the
good.
fact that you don't like Gwyneth Paltrow, you didn't like the script?
Not especially. I thought it was very, very masterpiece theater. It was one of
But it
those
is about
movies
Shakespeare.
that seemed to have been made to win Best Picture, which
Yeah.
in which case it got it subjective.
Oh, this is
But-
Okay, then
on,
along those lines, and we will always disagree about this.
Yes.
I loved this film. There's some personal stuff in my life that I related to. In it, I thought that the life in the theater backstage, they captured it perfectly, and I felt that it deserved the Oscar above Saving Private Ryan because it fulfilled. It paid everything off that it set up. I
That's
think
hard for me because I would say that you're right on that,
Saving Private Ryan had that incredible scene on Normandy Beach.
and that's it.
But I think the battle scenes were better in the TV series Band of Brothers.
Absolutely,
If you've
yeah.
ever seen Band of Brothers, you
that's a
should
good show.
only watch one episode at a time. It is so
So
realistic,
good.
and that's what the Revenant. We were talking. The Revenant,
yeah.
the fight scenes, the shooting, it reminded me of the Band of Brothers scenes. So
I have a
realistic.
question for you since you brought up Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
How do you feel that compares to the Pacific?
I never saw the Pacific.
Because I've only seen the Pacific and I really enjoyed it.
Well, if you haven't seen Band of Brothers, you are in for a treat. On Memorial Day, HBO ran all 10, and I DVR'd every
cool.
single one.
It's fantastic.
It's absolutely
Band of Brothers
so
even better.
brilliant.
Really?
Phenomenal.
It's so. Oh, we all agree on that. That's awesome.
No, we totally agree.
Okay, what else? Dan Watanabe.
Dan.
Well, going into older movies like you did with High Noon, because that's definitely one of mine too. Mrs. Miniver, another winner of
stole
Best
mine.
Picture.
Yes, Peter Garson as this paragon, this untouchable
It-
paragon.
It
She
has
is pruning roses while her husband is going to Dunkirk. How quaintly
In a fishing
MGM
boat.
can you be?
Absolutely.
in a fishing boat with a hunting rifle and wearing a sports jacket.
Yes.
Yes,
But,
I agree.
It has good scenes, like that scene with them in the bunker when the bombs are falling and they're reading the book, and like it has good moments to it. And also that little country fair thing when everyone's singing and like
Well,
the rich
remember
lady.
when it was made. You also sometimes you have to look at historical context. We were at war. England was our ally. This was, the brave English, weathering the storm, and so this was a morale builder. Also, looking at it from our, twisted, bitter, cynical point of view, we can say whatever we want. But at the time, the movie meant a lot to a lot of people. Just like Since You Went Away. With Claudette
Since You Went
Colbert.
Away, as ludicrous as that movie can be in its moments,
Yeah.
it also, as a whole, I think, even though it's 45 minutes longer than Mrs. Miniver, which automatically should disqualify it from
Right.
anything, it still has a number of really great scenes, like that one that was parodied in Airplane, where Jennifer Jones is chasing after Robert Wagner on the train. Robert Walker. Yes. And the scene where Alan Azimova talks about coming to the country as a refugee, it has those moments that
Right.
make you forget about Claudette Colbert looking at the presents under the tree and taking the letter that was written by her husband, whom they think is missing, and looking like she's eating it because she crumples it up and holds it to her face so tightly.
Yeah.
Also, it has one of Shirley Temple's latter not so good performances.
Yeah,
but
she was an incredible talent, cutie pie actress, singer, dancer. She was the darling of Hollywood and the world for a number of years, till she hit puberty, and she didn't successfully make the transition.
no, she didn't Liz Taylor it well.
She didn't Liz Taylor it well at all. She turned into a kind of not unattractive, okay, teenage actress.
Although the Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer
She
holds
was
up
good in that.
really
Yeah,
well.
It does, doesn't it?
Did you know that won Best Screenplay?
Yes.
It's
and it was
one of
it
those
was
movies you
Sheldon,
hear the
guy
title.
who did the
Sidney
Brady.
Sheldon.
Sidney Sheldon. It is actually a really funny, sharp movie. I watched it a couple of months ago. All right, Armin? Oh no,
Garen hasn't
Garen.
done
Yeah,
it.
Garen hasn't
sorry.
done it.
What my most overrated movie, that is my most hated movie, is probably, I mentioned it before, Age of Innocence. I really don't like that movie.
Age of Innocence?
Because it was the Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer.
This is Scorsese one, right?
Yeah. I hate it so much because I remember the first time watching it. I remember sitting through 2.5 hours, and the first thought was, "What?" Where it's 2.5. Like I compared it, saying like the best way I could describe it. It's 2.5 hours of foreplay. Because nothing happens in the movie. That's my word. That's my biggest criticism of the movie. Not that it's bad, not that it's cheesy, not anything. That nothing happens. It's just a bunch of little conversations throughout 2 hours, and then the end, he just like dies, and like that's it. Spoiler. Don't watch
Spoiler
it.
alert.
I think it's about yearning, and it's about wanting what you can't have.
But can you yearn for 20 years?
I think Garen yearned for a decent movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm going to name one that's Heresy for Boys.
Uh-oh.
Another, like
You
Scar
did that
says,
already. Oh.
a movie that I thought, and I'm a baseball fan. I'm a big baseball fan.
That's not be good.
That I thought was ridiculous was Field of Dreams.
If you build it, they will come.
I liked that movie, but
I
I
know.
watched it with my dad. Like, I like it because it's like a family reminder, not because it's a good movie.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't think it's.
I,
You know.
I haven't seen it, but just based on what I've heard about it, I'm interested in seeing it because it sounds like one of those ridiculous cocaine added
yeah,
like,
really,
Yeah.
really.
Let's make a movie where this guy builds a baseball field, a cornfield, and ghosts show up.
And you
like
know it's based on a
it
book.
sounds interesting. Like
It's based on a book.
I'll tell you what I find interesting about it, and I'll agree that one is one that today I think fails the test of time very, very profoundly. It was an example of how important the right haircut is for an actor. Because if you look at Kevin Costner, he has the perfect haircut in that movie. And then if you look at him in a lot of his movies later, when his career started going to hell in a handbasket, his haircut became really bad. And it's from that I think that his career really took its downfall. Because there's no other explanation why he had such a big career. And then wasn't able to transition after he got his hair cut differently.
I do have to say, he made a movie. I've seen some of his movies in recent years, and they're really interesting. There was the one where he was a hitman.
the one with the daughter, with the
With
girl
daughter.
from.
He was really good. And then there's a newer one where he's an assassin. And I saw the first
3
20
days?
minutes of it. And I have to tell you something. He has aged really well. If he's had plastic surgery, it is really awesome. He looks terrific.
He's
He really
very
does.
he's very thin in real life.
Yeah.
When I was working on Agent X, he came over to the office one day.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. Said hi to everybody, but like super thin. I was surprised how thin he was.
Yeah, but his face, he looks really, really good. And I think he's an underrated actor.
I think he's also great in the way that he's just his look is like when he ages, him being in those action movies makes sense because he looks like he gives that look that Liam Neeson gives in Taken, like
Yeah.
like don't mess with me, I've been around.
Yeah,
kind of
Them-
thing.
absolutely.
That's why- that's why it
That's a
translates
good
so well.
point. That's a good
The
point.
Kevin Costner movie you mentioned with his daughter, where he's like, it's the girl from the Coen Brothers movie, whatever it was. I had that issue with that movie because it was a weirdest thing because the girl is like reconnecting with her dad, who's Kevin Costner, and she calls him by their first name the entire time, and she's kind of like 17,
Yeah.
and it comes off as this weird, perverse, like it almost feels like they're dating at one point, like the way like it's the weirdest thing. I'm watching it going like, why?
Because he
It
wasn't a
felt
dad
very,
to her.
it felt very perverse though. Just the fact that she was
Really?
calling him by the first name and the things they were doing, and it was very weird.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the point of that was to not acknowledge him as her father, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
But that's what they were going for. I don't know. It was weird.
Did you ever see him in No Way Out?
Yes. Oh, it's a great movie.
See, that's one where you saw that Kevin Costner, as a star personality,
Yeah.
had it too. Because No Way Out's not that great a movie, and same with Field of Dreams. But his personality kind of made it work, and that's why people reacted so badly to the ending of No Way Out when it turned out he really was this Russian spy, because they actually liked him, and him being a good guy was
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
I got
and
one.
then he went on to play Elliot Ness.
Yeah,
And I
that's-
watched the Bull Durham again, which has aged a little bit. It's aged a little bit, but his world. He carries that world weary effect very, very well. You know, he plays Crash Davis, the guy who's a little past his prime and has to bring Tim Robbins up. And it's a very funny, very, very moving. It has some very moving and very funny moments.
Doesn't that movie have a lot to answer for too in real life? Isn't that the movie where Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon
When
first
they got
met?
together.
That's what
Yeah.
we got together.
They got together.
Okay, so that's enough reason to condemn it.
One movie I want, just going back to like overrated movies. One movie that I don't like that I think is super overrated is a recent one is Interstellar. I
Yeah.
think that movie.
Yes.
I think the first time I saw it, I remember like And I'll admit this, that I didn't see it in theaters, and it probably ruined the mystique for me. But whenever I saw it, like at home, I remember thinking like there wasn't much happening, and it just like they felt like a bunch of like really awesome. It looked amazing, but there was like no substance behind like any of that.
The thing with Interstellar, for me, I think what influences people's opinions more than the movie is the way the publicity machine was working for it, how they were selling it as it was this revolutionary sci-fi movie that was doing practical effects, and that it was just like this art of cinematic. And I'm just sitting there going, no, there's a lot more movies before that. There's 2001, and then like, you know, arguably Event Horizon has its moments and whatever. For me, it had the same effect that the Ghostbusters publicity had, which was oh, you have to see this movie because it's a female-driven movie, and if you don't, you're sexist. And that made me not want to see Ghostbusters. So I think the publicity for this movie, praising it as the greatest sci-fi movie ever, bogs people to the point where they don't like the movie.
Well, my criticism of the movie,
I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable, but
criticism of the movie was in the sort of the vein of like it's Christopher Nolan, and I've actually genuinely enjoyed most of his films before. So I thought like I was gonna go into it thinking I'm gonna like. I actually really. I like personally Inception. One of my favorite movies is Inception. Yeah, I really love that movie. I remember going in and getting out of there going, "Wow!" And I understand people think that's overrated. And that's fine. Like I think, but criticizing Inception is different than criticizing Interstellar. Criticizing Inception is whenever the plot doesn't make sense. What are these weird things? There's a lot of plot holes. Yes, I agree with all those criticisms, but I still enjoyed the movie for just the movie and like not. And of course there's a lot of plot holes in it, but with Interstellar, there's nothing to poke into because there's nothing going on. You know what I mean?
You know one thing I really hate about Interstellar, and I like the movie, and it's just something that I wish no one's ever acknowledged, that Hans Zimmer was obviously influenced by Philip Glass in his score.
Oh, of course, it's Philip Glass.
Nobody acknowledges that.
Wow,
nobody's asked him about it. No one's ever said, like, have you ever seen Going to Satsi? Because some of this sounds really like similar.
I bet you it was in the publicity materials do not mention this.
Which is annoying because I'm like,
oh, well,
Philip Glass is amazing. Give him his credit.
It's one of my favorites.
Romance, that music at the end when they're on the beach, that has been stolen about 22 times.
Is that Philip Glass?
I want to bring up two films that I like.
Did they steal it or did they pay royalties?
About miscasting, how it can cast a pall over a film. I want to talk about Lenny, Bob Fosse's Lenny.
Oh yes.
Okay, if you've ever heard Lenny Bruce in person, he was gorgeous. He was a gorgeous, gorgeous man. He was handsome, and they cast Dustin Hoffman. Now Cliff Gorman, who's not that good looking, also played him on the stage, right? And there was no way on earth he was going to get to play him in the film. That they couldn't cast someone who was good looking, like a Bobby Cannavale, that kind of, just really, really bothered me, because that was part of his whole gestalt, was that he looked like a movie star and he had this brain and this mouth and this sensibility. And another movie that Dan, I don't think any of you, maybe you've seen it, The Diary of Anne Frank.
I've seen it.
They cast the Shiksa, Millie Perkins, with this little nose and these bright blue eyes to play. You know, she had this pert little nose and these blue eyes. Perkins, her last name was Perkins, to play that Dutch Jewish girl. And it really, really, everybody else was cast well, but
Richard Beymer?
Richard Beymer.
It's a black and white version, right?
Yeah, it's a black and white, yeah.
Well, it's also weird to watch Diary of Anne Frank because it's shot in CinemaScope. And it's about claustrophobia.
Yes.
And that widescreen undermines it.
And it took place in a time when they were it was 4-3 anyway, too. So that's like in a
59.
historical way.
So it was in the middle of it was when Fox. The reason they shot in CinemaScope was at that time Fox had a mandate that every one of their movies had to be CinemaScope, unless it was Cleopatra, in which case it was Todd A.O. because Elizabeth Taylor's dead husband came up with that format and it's her contract. But when you look at it. It doesn't look like they're in a cramped space. It looks like they might as well be playing How to Marry a Millionaire.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, any more?
Yeah. Of course. I'm trying to think of one that will anger everyone.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I have a couple. Well, one is Maltese Falcon. And I want to love, because I love Humphrey Bogart. I love him to death. I love Casablanca. I love... Like, you name it, I've probably seen one of his films.
Right.
But I don't like that movie. Because it doesn't. Okay. To me, his character in the. I mean, this is maybe thematically and just maybe reading into it a little bit, but the character that he plays in that movie, I don't believe for a second that he would fall for what's her name?
Mary Astor?
Yeah.
I don't think he
I don't
was
buy it.
though.
His grandmother.
Yeah.
Her
Because-
hairstyle is really
I don't
unflattering.
buy
in
it.
that.
I don't buy it. I just
I-
didn't buy the relationship.
You didn't think there was any
I-
spark between them?
No.
I agree with you on that. The first time I saw the Maltese Falcon, I was like 19 or something, and I was like, God damn, this movie's boring.
Yeah.
And then I watched it again like last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I see your thing about the Mary Astor thing, because the whole time watching it the second time, I'm like, why is this guy even into this woman? She's
Exactly.
obviously weird.
I don't get it.
And
yes.
I don't think the character actually was. I feel like he was putting on an act the entire time. Because they're all manipulating each other. So I'm
course.
like,
No,
there's no
I
way
understand
he's not
that.
also
Oh,
manipulating.
so you're saying
I
that's
would
part of the
say that the
subtext.
reason that he went with Mary Astor is because think about the fact that he was sleeping with Gladys George, so that his partner's wife. And if you look at her and you look at Mary Astor and you go, at least she's different.
Yeah, I
And-
think he was drawn to the fact that she was so different.
So you think that
she
should-
wasn't his type.
You think he
Yes.
was actually into her?
That in the movie.
Yeah.
In the movie, I think that the face that she portrayed, he felt something. He felt some connection towards her. You know, because she was portraying herself, if I remember correctly, as a victim or whatever, and that she was a woman. You know, when you had all these men, you had Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet who have all these powerful personalities, and she's small, and she's got that little face. So I think he felt sorry for her. He felt something for her, and maybe in his jaded mind, he thought, well, maybe, and then heck no, you know. So I could see it. I could see it.
Also, it was John Huston's first film, and this is where you'll see John Huston fans get into fistfights because there's some who look at the camera work in Maltese Falcon as being revolutionary, and there's others who look at it and say it's beneath film school. You have Sidney Greenstreet, this big fat guy, and they're always shooting him from the down looking up. And it just has some stuff in it that's very crude. But I'm gonna agree with Armin because I first saw that movie when I was like 12 or 13, and I saw it again in film school, and I never liked it. And then I saw it when I was in my 30s, and all of a sudden I got it. I got that it's a movie that's about the corruption of people and how they're playing off each other, and how what's interesting about it is everyone knows everyone else is lying, and they're just trying to figure out how much of a lie. So nobody is believing anyone. And it also leaves a moral ambiguity. Would Sam Spade have sent her up if the Falcon was real?
Yeah,
That's a great question.
yeah, that's a good question.
I gotta see that movie again.
That's a very good
I got a movie, if I can
Go ahead.
jump in.
Sorry for interrupting you, Michael, by the way. Sorry for interrupting you.
No. You're right, but it's just for me. I agree with everything you said. It's just that relationship detracts from that for me. So I sit there and I'm like, oh, well, okay, all right,
really
just
have to watch
keep
that.
trying to follow it. No, I don't buy the relationship. No,
Danny
okay.
Peary in Cult Movies actually says that the biggest problem he had with Maltese Falcon is the fact that Mary Astor does not come across as a sexual siren.
She doesn't.
She comes
doesn't.
across
That-
like a school teacher.
exactly in a film noir like you're supposed.
Is
to
that
have
hair and makeup wardrobe? What is that? Because
That's charisma.
I think that's
do
great.
you
Yeah,
think
it's
that she, as an
charisma.
actress,
No,
she was
because
incapable of it?
She had won an Academy Award that year for The Great Lie, and you see her in that, and you see her in most of her other movies. And Mary Astor's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, she's able to keep up with Clark Gable and Jean Harlow in Red Dust, and she's able to keep up with Cecil Kellaway and Betty Davis and Agnes Moorehead and whatever happened to Babe in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. So
So do you think it was the direction?
I think Houston at that time, who's always been a man director, didn't
Know what to do
get-
with her.
Yeah.
or didn't
Yeah.
get how to play her, and
I
maybe
think that's
also
it, yeah.
they were trying to, because this was still her coming back after her diary scandal, so they were still trying
Yes,
to make her
she
seem
was
like
the
repentant.
she was very young and slept with John Barrymore.
Well, not only that, she had an affair with George Kaufman when she was married to someone else.
That's right.
And she came up with that immortal phrase, "Ah, desert night, with us making love under the stars, with George's body plunging into mine." And you're thinking, wow, "Ah, desert night" came from that.
You can read about it.
Yes,
Probably that
and that
Yes.
George Kaufman, who looked like a little Nebuchadnezzar Jewish, yeshiva student, was this great lover, right? I mean, we knew he had a sense of humor and that he could write,
Yes.
but who knew that he was good in bed? I mean, who knew?
That's what I was going to ask you about. That was, did you think it was the direction, or do you think it was just her charisma? Like, I mean, I have to watch it again because the last time I watched it was probably like I was 18 or 19.
The characters, Mary Ashley's character in Maltese Talk is interesting because, like you guys are saying, she has that grandma-esque quality to it. But I feel like that's the type of persona her character puts on. Like, you're in a room having a meeting about something, and she's sitting on the side as if somebody who's just supposed to be there but doesn't have really anything to say and doesn't really comprehend what's going on. But then she is like having her own crap going on in the background and really deceiving everybody.
I think he
I
may
think
have
it's an intentional.
directed her to play it kind of innocent-like, so that when Bogart reveals that he knows who she is,
Almost like she's the person taking notes in the back.
yeah, she's like the secretary, or she's different. She's not like the others, and then we find out that she's just
she's-
like the
or
others.
worse.
She's
Which
worse.
plot-wise, that's
worse.
really good, but
Yeah.
you need to cast well for that if that's the case. I mean, because that sounds like that's a great. Obviously, it was one of the first ones.
And then there are the movies that start out well and fall apart. Like,
Oh, I got
like,
one.
like Castaway. That after he's saved from the island, because all that island stuff is so awesome, and that your heart breaks when he loses the volleyball. I mean, your heart breaks for him. And then he has this silly thing with Helen Hunt, who's married, and she's going to go off with him, and then she changes her mind, and he goes back, and then they have that kind of weak ending where I think he meets someone on that 4-road intersection.
Where he's literally at a crossroad. Yeah.
Yeah, but it would have really been
Yeah, that
interesting.
was-
it would have been
yeah.
really
little on the
interesting
nose,
for
yeah.
him to come back and to be so
Symbolism.
changed by this experience that he can't fit in. That he wants to be alone more or something. But they didn't know what to do with his character after he was saved. Then there's I would like to name another film that is held up as the Holy Grail, and it won two good actors, Oscars, which is Coming Home. Which was, we have to make Bruce Dern, her husband, the most brutal soldier that ever lived, and it was an anti-war tract, and it was, Jane Fonda who, colluded with the enemy basically in real life. That this her influence was all over it, and that she finds true happiness with a man who can't fully make love to her. And what is that message? I mean, not that listen, I'm not dissing anyone who's paraplegic and can have a sex life. That's awesome. And satisfy a woman. That's their business. But really, don't get me wrong. But
Just get some holsters on your anyway.
But the very fact that he was made out to be this saint, in bed,
Yes, the whole, that was kind of the pre-make of Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And like Born on the 4th of July, it's histrionic.
Yes.
And that's a movie that from the 70s, because I've been having the 70s fit recently, and it's one that looked worse than it did in 1978. In 1978, it felt pretentious and it felt heavy, but it also had great performances. Now, when I watch it, all I can think about is Jane Fonda's hairstyle in it.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm saying to be obsessed with that, but it's because that's such a, maybe it's also because we're doing so many things with below the line agencies right now. But she's distracting looking, and John Voight gives a good performance, but he's whiny. So you have a movie with its center being everyone walking around being, oh, woe is me. If you're going to do that, just watch an Ingmar Bergman movie and get it over with.
Yes, really, absolutely. And here's one that I really liked the effort, and I thought it had good things in it, but I thought they could have left this one alone, which was the remake of True Grit. Because I'm a big Jeff Bridges fan, but I don't know, that iconic Wayne performance when he has the things and it wasn't quite the same, didn't have the effect when he has the two rifles and the reins in his mouth. I mean, this was the ultimate John Wayne moment, right? And this was a couple of years before he died. I thought that who made this? The Coen Brothers?
The Coen Brothers.
Yeah, it was
Well,
Coen
they always
Brothers.
do interesting things, and I liked the Brolin in it. I thought he was better than Glenn Campbell. But then I also thought sometimes you just need to leave. You need to leave things alone. And another one that I really Well, part of this was because I'm from southeastern Massachusetts and I'm quite familiar with the accents and who does it well was Mystic River. I thought Mystic River, it's a good book, but I thought that it was overblown, overacted. And 5 minutes into the film, I turned to my son and I said, "They've got the accents wrong. They're all pretending."
That'll do it.
I totally
Yeah.
agree that's overacted. I think there were those moments where I was just watching, like, I haven't read the book, so I don't know. I can't comment on the book in an accurate way, but it was a little bit like, okay. That was one of the first overdone movies I'd say I've ever seen. Like when I was really young when I saw it, I was like probably, I think it was like 18.
And then you contrast it with another film about Boston area people with a fighter, which had everybody had an incredible accent. Christian Bale was amazing, and it was a family story. It was a brother story. I thought Wahlberg was amazing, as good as Bale was, because I think he was nominated. I think he may have won the Oscar for that. I thought Wahlberg was overshadowed because his performance was amazing. So authenticity is really, really, really important. That was the thing about The Revenant, that how authentic everything seemed. Yeah.
I got a movie that started off good, but then by the end of it, or I didn't even finish it because it got so boring. Thief with James Caan. Directed by Michael Mann.
Yeah, I've only seen parts of it because it is kind of.
Which proves his point.
It's very 70s.
Yes.
Is it? It's 80s though, is it? Or is it?
I thought Thief was 78.
Is it 78?
It might be. It might be in the 80s, but I thought it was 78.
That's even worse if it was
I
made in
think
the
it's
80s and
80,
feels like a
might be
70s movie.
81.
It's like early 80s, I think. It's
Yeah.
like really early 80s.
It's actorly. It's like watching Steve McQueen and Junior Bonner, where you have an actor who has a lot of charisma, and you realize that that's all this movie has is the fact you have a charismatic actor in it, and you start feeling trapped and claustrophobic because there's no other reason you're looking at the screen, and you see the actor really tearing it up and giving a great performance. You're going, I don't care if this is a great performance. I want to walk out.
It had that, to me, it had that thing that most 70s movies do, because I think it was so close to the beginning of the decade that it still had that thing going where they have like really things happening way longer than it should, like him opening up that note from
Yes.
where it's just like
Scenes that go on and on.
like
and on.
he unfolds that thing like 10 times. I'm like, oh my god, trim down the scene a bit. Like
It's really kind of frustrating when you watch a film and your inner editor, because you have the beats of the story in you, is going, okay, cut. This is enough. And then there are times when scenes go on a long time and it's okay. But it's like and then you have the opposite, which is the MTV thing where things are it's too fast. But I think we all have something, especially if we've gone to the movies and watched TV, we have like in our DNA almost the sense of the story sense. Okay, this is enough. Let's move on.
it looked beautiful. Like Thief
Yeah.
looked great.
Yeah.
In terms of like
I'm gonna jump in with one because this is a movie that I liked it the first time I saw it, and I was like okay with it the second time I saw it, but I do agree that's overrated. It was 2001.
Or most things by Kubrick, really.
Come on.
No. I'll say this. Okay, see, this is
Talk
what
about a fist fight.
This is
Oh my
what I
goodness.
think. Let me tell you. I think 2001. I like the movie, but I think it's overrated because I think The Shining's a better movie, and I think Eyes Wide Shut's a better movie. But
Okay.
I
I haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut. I can't.
but the thing
I've
is,
just seen the
to me,
moth on the
2001
thing.
is a really. It's very. To me, it's a better experience than it is a movie. That's the difference.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I had a trip watching it the first time I saw it.
Yes.
There are parts
Under
of it that
different
are incredible.
circumstances.
First
But
came
I
out,
saw
people
You're
would get
confessing
stoned
you
and
went to a class and you got stoned in a movie. That is
No,
bad,
he had sleep
bad.
deprivation.
Oh my god!
I've
like,
slept in the classes before.
I watched that movie and I remember just like I walked out like kind of looking at my hands, just wondering like, okay, am I here? Like I had that very few films I had that moment where. But the thing was, The Shining to me gave it more of an emotional feel, where this one just blew my mind. But then afterwards, I was just watching it, and I'm like, the thing that bothered me that made it overrated was that it was too long. I think it's too long of a movie. And it was supposed to be longer.
But hold on, you can't defend bad length by saying, well, that's just Kubrick. Because that's like defending Tarantino's violence because it's Tarantino.
Oh, I have a Tarantino one too.
Well, just the idea that like if a director has a shtick and that's what they do, that doesn't mean that they're excused from doing it poorly.
Well, what do you think about
what I
Full
mean?
Metal Jacket? Because
Yeah.
it
I
had an
enjoy it.
incredible first half, absolutely incredible, and then the second half, they were supposed to be at war, and you could see that it was a set, and you didn't care, and it was Matthew Modine after you had. Ermi, the real Marine drill instructor, and Vincent D'Onofrio, right?
Yeah.
And whoever
Yeah.
else. Yeah. Awesome. Absolutely. And I'm speaking as a girl because it's a very boy movie. It's a very boy movie, and it was fascinating. And then the second half was like, what is this?
It's like
they're
two
not
different
in
movies.
Vietnam. They're
Well,
on a backlot.
Yeah, I think that was just that's the negative part of Kubrick that I don't like, was that just like that weird stuff that he was trying to do with that. That was like dumb. That's why I didn't like. That's why that didn't ruin the mystique of the movie to me. That part of it. That's why I think. That's why I like. That's why I said I like The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut more than any of his other.
Could you
ones.
see Eyes Wide Shut again? Because I saw it once.
Yeah,
that's
I
it
could
for
do
me.
it. I could
Really.
probably do that. I could watch that again. I could watch The Shining like 100
How
times.
about
but I
Clockwork
can't.
Orange? I've seen it
I've
once.
s-
It was enough.
I could watch.
Once was
Saw it
enough.
3 times. It was enough.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was good, but I like. I
You
mean,
have to see it
meaning
without
like.
the Japanese censor marks on it. So
Oh,
Ooh.
I didn't. I thought it was like the first time I saw it. It was just so I could have said I've seen Clockwork
Yeah,
Orange.
same. My sister showed it to me, and I was just like, I don't get it.
I thought it
It's
was
not
like-
bad. Thing is, a lot of those movies are not bad. I just think they're overrated. Like, I don't hate
Yeah.
any Kubrick movie. I just think most of them aren't as.
Well, how about Doctor Strangelove?
I
Doctor
have-
Strangelove is great.
That's a great
I've seen
movie.
pieces of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to see that.
This is the war room. I like. You see, like those movies are great, and I think
Fighting in the air.
if you're talking about overrated or underrated in the whole discussion, Kubrick's up there with, meaning like that's you could debate about that. Anybody could debate about
He's
it.
one of the directors that you either love everything or you hate everything. And similarly, since I haven't gotten to say movie in a while, for me, there's a lot of Coen Brothers movies that I despise. There's also ones that I like. But two in particular that I've seen, mostly because I get Screen Actors Guild screeners, would be Burn After Reading and No Country for Old Men. I thought they both were pretty boring.
Burn After Reading is very strange.
Yes,
I
it
made a
is.
mistake of watching
funny,
my mom
though.
once.
There's
It was a
some
very
funny
weird
scenes.
movie.
It's like Brad Pitt. You're being funny, but I wish you were funnier.
Yeah,
But
and
no-
then they just end, both of them. They
Yes.
just kind of cut. They just
Oh,
stop.
I loved No Country.
No Country for Old Men
Men.
is great, and what I liked about the ending is that evil just keeps going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a way.
That's I think No Country. Burn After Reading is weird, but No Country for Old Men.
I think it's because it's also a boring book, from what I've understood from people that actually read the book. Is that it's meant to be like that because it's more of a visceral experience reading it than seeing it. Plus, Javier Bardem was really good in the movie. Like,
I mean, he was good, but that doesn't mean the movie was good.
No,
There were plenty of actors that were
that's
great
a scene.
in
I
terrible
think that's a
movies.
lot of
No,
a
I thought it
scene-oriented
had-
movie
I
than an
thought
actual plot.
thematically, It was very powerful. The Tommy Lee Jones character and the Josh Brolin character. Their stories were really interesting, and Bardem is indelible. I mean, just
Yeah.
thinking about that character, you get scared. You know, you're frightened. I want to just mention a film that was lauded, and that I think was really well done, except what Spielberg did with the ending, and it really annoyed me. Was Munich? Was he tagged on a thing of Eric Bana's character saying moral equivalency. In real life, every single Israeli Mossad, all those guys who went after the pieces of garbage murderers that killed the Israeli athletes, never had a moral qualm about it. Never. There was revenge and justice, life for life. They never said we're just as bad as them or whatever baloney they put into Bana's mouth. And this is Spielberg's equivocation, pandering to the audience. What they did was not equal to what was done at Munich. Yeah, they could have brought them to justice, but they went out and they just took their lives.
Now, do you think that was done? Do you think it was done? Because I think it was done that not in a pandering, but more it just gave it a little bit. He was trying to give it more depth. Because the thing that I don't like about Spielberg is like what a lot of people criticize for is the sappy part of his films. Which do you think that he
That
did
was
that?
weakness and sappy. That was sappiness because there was. I read about it. They're all alive, or most of them are still alive. They said we never had a second thought about what we did. We went and did our job.
That's
No, right.
pandering
never-
to the
we never-
European market.
Yeah, dude, that's probably
He already knew he had a movie that was probably going to be a financial disaster, and that if it didn't equivocate, you would have the PC Euro crowd, which
Anti-Semites.
is anti-Semitic,
Yeah.
would have completely boycotted the film.
Now-
And Spielberg couldn't afford that.
And as a Jew, a fellow Jew, it annoys me. Just like his thing in Schindler's List, which is a great movie, where he has Schindler say, "I wish I could have saved more," and he never said it. It's sort of like it was enough. he doesn't trust his audience sometimes. Spielberg.
But I think that's more of a, to me, like, I understand like how you feel about it, but I feel like that's more of a criticism of Spielberg to me than the story, than the film itself.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like that's just Spielberg being
Absolutely.
Spielberg, and like,
Absolutely.
which I get, that makes sense, because if any, because I'm Armenian, if anybody made a film about any Armenian
genocide,
revolutionary
yeah,
heroes and like they mess up,
Yeah.
then I'd be a little bit upset. I'd be like, okay, that's not completely accurate. Like, these guys didn't like go out and find these leaders and just like and have moral dilemmas about assassinating them. They totally did it.
Yeah,
so without question. So like I do agree that is a little bit thing.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I got one that I've mentioned previously on our other talks or whatever that won an Oscar and that I think is really just overrated and everyone's forgotten about, thankfully. Crash.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
Yes,
It is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
God
I'm in
awful.
agreement.
God annoying.
You're not?
Yes.
What?
God awful.
I
It
don't
presents
like
Oh, how
LA.
it presented LA?
It presents LA from the point of view of someone who just does not get it.
Oh well, that's
The way
true.
they
There you go.
the way
That's
they
it.
put it together made no sense.
Look at this
And-
Look at this
and-
panel.
Oh god, it was Sergey. It was Sergey.
And there's
He
that
actually
one
likes
part
it.
with oh my god, with Terrence Howard, where the stuff with Terrence Howard is happening, and I can't stop watching and go. All you're trying to do is say in this movie is look how these little peons corrupted this rich person into becoming racist and falling apart. It's so. Look how they're messing with us Hollywood elite. It's so self-fulfilling and just full of itself.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
And it presents
Yeah.
LA of this wasteland, and I'm like, it's not.
A wasteland
You do not
of
get
one
what the city's
racist
about.
incident after another.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is also that's the biggest part about it, because when you think about movies that were made specifically for, like, you know, they say like, oh, that
Oscar
was
bait.
Yeah, Oscar made movies.
Which,
Every
by the way,
negative,
The Revenant is on there too for Oscar bait.
No, but the thing
Absolutely.
is, The Revenant is, but when you think of to me, whenever I think of every negative stereotype of a movie specifically made to win Best Picture, it's Crash.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
everything. It's all these other movies that are like The Revenant or like even Spotlight won over The Revenant, and like I watched Spotlight and I was like, meh, but even if I was meh about it, I didn't hate it. Like, it didn't
Right.
bother me.
Yeah.
And
It
it
was just
wasn't
like
as good as it could have been.
it wasn't, but the Crash is just hateable. It's
it
not
is.
the Crash. What did I say? No, Crash is hateable.
It had some wonderful performances,
It had moments.
and then it had a
Very
few
few.
moments. I think there's a scene with Matt Dillon. I can't remember. He's a policeman.
he like gropes somebody
You know,
and then he
something
rescues her
happens
later.
where there's
and,
this,
yeah.
this they get together or something. But
She gets in a car wreck and he like overcomes his racism and his sexism to like help save her out of the car
yeah,
before it
and
explodes.
I know a lot of cops, and first of all, they're on the LA police force. They're all colors, all they come in. They put themselves on the line, for everybody, and so this idea that we have to deal with, a racist cop who's not going to do right by the community, this is a rarity. The thing is that it seemed to me that the theme of this was things suck here because of racial differences, where on the whole, when you go out into the community, go to the mall, go here, you see people in the intermarriage. Just look at the couples out there in the world of this one marrying that one and having kids, and it's no big deal.
You know that bumper sticker that says coexist that has all the religious symbols and
Yeah.
people put on their little VW bugs or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, on their Priuses.
On their Priuses. That's LA. LA isn't a living example of that bumper sticker. Where Crash was coming from, I have no idea.
Yeah, it was a conceit.
I've lived here my
it
whole life.
was
There's
a
no
conceit.
race wars
here's
going
an
on.
interesting question then. Do you think that movie would have been better or worse had it not been in LA and had it had a completely different location and context?
Like it took place in the Midwest.
yeah, like anywhere, literally anywhere
What
but
if it had
LA. It
taken
could have been in
place in
freaking
New York
Beijing
City?
for all I care.
I feel like those are stories that
Yeah,
take
if it had
place in the
taken
Midwest.
if it had taken place in New York City, then all the New Yorkers would have been up in arms about it.
Yep.
But because it was
How dare you,
anti-LA, you had all the little San Francisco people and all the little New York people who don't like LA.
See, there you go. That's why I think it got so much praise. It was just
Yeah.
crapping on LA. So everybody but people who live in LA.
Okay, now can we all dump on Avatar?
That's what I was gonna say.
Sure.
You
Yes,
read my
I'm
mind.
sorry, go ahead.
That was my exact
Go
point I
ahead,
was
go
gonna say.
ahead.
Oh, really?
I defy you to name a
Avatar.
single character from Avatar.
I don't.
The blue one.
No, screw you.
The
I
military
don't remember
guy.
one character or one iota of that. Like I don't
Such a
remember
bad-
any.
The
It's
scientist.
so bad.
So
Yeah.
I just don't.
No, it's
So
I,
awful.
I have to tell a story.
but
about
everybody
this.
knows that movie's bad. We have to talk about movies people like.
No,
No,
here's-
no,
Oh,
we're
here's-
not
it made $1
asking
billion.
an
No,
Oscar.
no, but here what? It's
Make
still,
it-
yes,
billion,
it's still
too.
the number one movie, but it's also getting sequels now.
But making a lot of money
really?
doesn't mean good. A lot of people saw plenty of movies that are terrible. Look at the
Suicide Squad.
Transformers, Suicide Squad.
Here's a major criticism, and it involves a story. I was sitting at home, and I get a call from my younger cousin. He's like, "Hey, have you seen this movie called Dances with Wolves. And I said, no. It's like, I was like, isn't that the Kevin Costner? I'm like, yeah, isn't that the Kevin Costner?
Isn't that a remake of Avatar?
That's the thing. He didn't tell me. Like,
Avatar is Return to Ferngully, not even Dances with Wolves.
Oh, Ferngully.
It's
yeah.
Return
It's
to
totally
Ferngully.
that was
Yeah.
the thing is the whole time he was watching this movie, I got texts literally every
like
15
Ferngully.
minutes. This is
I did
Avatar.
too.
Oh my God, this is Avatar. This is Avatar. Wow, they literally at the end of the movie
but
he
Dances
ripped it off.
with Wolves
Or Little
was
Big
a
Man,
much
I guess.
better film.
It was, but they didn't rip off anything.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know if they did.
Here's the thing,
Avatar's
the theme,
enjoyable, though.
The theme that Avatar
is, yeah.
presented,
It's
if I
entertaining.
remember correctly, is the nobility of the what they used to call the savage, or of the less civilized, whatever you
Yeah.
of the
Well, less
primitive,
civilized.
or the primitive of the more primitive,
Plus,
Here's the
which
thing
is
with-
ridiculous.
Here's the thing with
But it's
Avatar.
also-
Say what you want about it, but it's a blockbuster. Like you're not
Yeah.
going to leave it disappointed. You can have
Yeah.
your criticism.
I left it
but it's,
disappointed.
I left it
Completely.
disappointed.
No, I
Really?
hated
I was
it.
disappointed.
Really?
No, but I
It's
mean, like,
movie
enjoyed
the
it.
champions
It
anorectic
entertains
woman.
And didn't you have to watch it with those glasses?
Yes.
Oh,
which,
God,
by the
yeah,
way, if you have the right
stupid.
seats, the 3D is amazing in that.
Well,
movie.
hold on though, because
Like, seriously.
there's a serious issue with the 3D in that movie too. It was lauded as the first time 3D was like done properly, but it used cameras with lenses, which meant there was depth of field on the 3D. So there's stuff in front and there's stuff in back that's out of focus, and you can't look at it because it's out of focus. So it's close to you and it's out of focus, but if you wanted to look at it, you couldn't because of the way it was done. I think
Star
that
Trek, the second one did that.
yeah, but that movie and others like it proves that 3D only really works in CG animation, where you could render an entire scene in 3D, but in full focus. Because if you use depth of field, what you have is something close to you that's blurry, and you want to try and look at it, and you cross your eyes to look at it, and you can't.
There's a
Because
there's
it's
that
blurry.
part in Avatar where all those things are falling off of the tree, and they're kind of like, wow. Look,
Mm-hmm. But that's full CG, so
But
that
that's
part
full
worked.
CG, so the 3D looks amazing.
Yeah,
I
the
agree
parts in
with
the
you, like-
spaceship where they're on the thing and they've got that computer and they swivel in the chair, that part's all blurry. You can't see any of it because they don't want you to see it.
Yeah, I have left with a headache.
It's
Yes,
the worst.
absolutely.
Just the dialogue,
I needed
everything
a
in
lot
that
of
movie.
Chinese food to make up for that.
Oh, it's
afterwards.
awful.
Yes.
Okay, I got another one, and this might make a lot of people angry. I thought that Django Unchained wasn't that great.
Oh, I like Django Unchained.
I mean,
I liked it too.
I
It was
enjoyed.
badass.
Here's my problem with Django. I enjoyed the first half of the movie, and then it should have ended. I enjoyed the second half of the movie if it started right when the violence started. But it's another issue of two totally separate movies, and the way I figure that it happened, this has to be the way it happened. I can't imagine any rational person doing this on purpose, is that Quentin Tarantino wrote himself into a corner and said, there's not enough violence, and then made a bad decision so that the movie could go longer and have violent scenes.
I disagree.
No, you don't, Aaron.
I do disagree. I really do. And like,
So interesting.
I like the movie a lot. I thought like there's a lot of badass scenes in there, and I thought it was
yeah,
like,
that doesn't mean it's
no,
a
but the
good
plot
movie.
made sense to me.
The
It
plot
made
did make sense,
Oh,
but it
like
ended,
it flowed. It
15
actually.
minutes in, I turned to the person I was watching it with, and I said,
and you said the accents are wrong.
I said, I said, this is so original. I mean, I was just stunned at the originality of
No,
the
it's-
of the
The
plot.
story is
good,
really
story's
original.
but the
amazing.
plot ends when he finds Broomhilda, and then he's about to leave, and everybody they could just swallow their pride, they could sit on their thumbs, they could leave, and then he goes, and then shoots and then the movie explodes because there has to be violence because it's Quentin Tarantino and he has to do that, and I'm fine with violence. I think it's great, but it didn't need to happen at the end of the plot to purposely make the plot keep happening.
The
I felt
movie-
it was inorganic.
The movie, to me, mentally to myself, the movie ended when Christoph Waltz died.
Exactly, but that's when the movie should have
Like
ended.
when I was watching, I'm like, oh, he's dead, and then it took me a bit to get back into the plot.
No, but
I didn't hate it, but it's just, that was the one thing that took me
I
out of
feel
it.
like classic story arc wise, I recognize the plot points, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the part when shit starts going wrong, and then like it started going wrong.
Yeah.
That's why the movie flowed well to me because it made sense. I'm like, oh, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen, and it happened every single point.
Which normally, if it's outside of your own control, or if it's like somebody else puts a wrench in the works and then your plan falls apart, or like typical hero's journey type stuff, that's fine. But this was self-sabotaging. This was, we could get out of here alive, but I'm going to do something really stupid and against character, get myself killed so the plot could last another hour. Doesn't
But
make
that's
sense.
every movie.
No, it's not.
That's the
not
point.
Star Wars.
I got
That's
one
what
that
makes,
just keeps going on and on and
Yes.
on. And
What's that?
Ben-Hur.
The new one or the old
original
one?
or
No, the original one.
Okay, I haven't seen the original, so I can't count.
I've seen Lawrence
Have
of
you seen the
Arabia.
new
It's one
one?
of my favorite movies.
No, I
Lawrence of
haven't.
Arabia is another like 4-hour epic, and it goes and then it starts again and it keeps going and it keeps you entertained. Ben-Hur, another 4-hour movie. It has multiple parts to it, but it's like oh my god, it keeps going.
Well,
Okay, it stories. No, it keeps going.
Is it 3 1 hour and 20 movies combined into one?
Yeah, seriously, it's
that's
like three
held up
movies
as a
and-
great movie that I thought I saw it when I was much younger was Dr. Zhivago, and the main reason why is Omar Sharif
He's not that interesting.
He's very good looking, but he's a stick. He's
Julie Christie, even Geraldine Chaplin blows him off the screen. If you can't compete against Geraldine Chaplin, what are you doing? Being the lead?
You have to have this Russian. You have to. Here's the thing: you look at Omar Sharif and you go, "My, he's so handsome," but you don't keep looking at him like you do with the great ones, right? And what this needed was someone you couldn't take your eyes off of playing this character. Because it's shot, it has a lot of that, the lighting and the thing, and it was the 60s? It was the late 60s.
65.
It was very epic. It was very, and then he was
another reason to like The Sound of Music. Took Best Picture away from Dr. Zhivago.
Well, okay, so it ran
That's like the
interference.
lesser of two evils.
But also, he was in Funny Girl.
Yes.
He played Nicky Arnstein. What miscasting! First of all, he had that foreign accent, and Nicky Arnstein was a New York Jew, right? And there's Barbara Streisand popping off the screen, and there he is. Okay, Fanny, I love you. No.
Was he like that droopy dog?
No, he was really good in Lawrence of Arabia.
He's
Yes.
awesome
I know
in
that.
Lawrence of Arabia.
He's great as a support.
As a support, but to play a lead, he's a stick.
I got one to make you all mad, and this is actually a group, and I like Alfred Hitchcock. So this is going to be really big.
Oh, if he says Psycho, I don't know.
North by Northwest.
Yes.
What is
I
it?
don't
No, by
like the
Northwest.
Cary Grant, Alfred Hitchcock movies as a group. I don't really like.
North
I don't
by
really like
Northwest
Suspicion.
should
I don't
gas.
really like Notorious, and I don't really like North by Northwest.
Why?
North by
doesn't like Cary
Northwest
Grant.
is and To Catch a Thief. North by Northwest is fine, but in terms of the picaresques, I prefer Foreign Correspondent. I thought it had a lot more interesting stuff in it. In North by Northwest, I keep feeling that Hitchcock was already starting to believe the Cahiers du Cinema stuff about how he was a great director. So there's a lot of the set pieces in it that feel heavy. They don't feel organic the way they do in even Saboteur. And because of that, even though I appreciate the movie, I don't like it. I feel distanced from it. And Eva Marie Saint was forced to do an imitation of Grace Kelly. Now, Eva Marie Saint is fine as Eva Marie Saint. Why change her into someone else? And that's the reason why I've never bonded with that movie. And Notorious, I know everyone loves Notorious. I find him annoying.
Is that the
in
one with Ingrid Bergman?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Claude Rains?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, Claude Rains is great in it.
Yes.
And I
Claude Rains
think
is
I
always
like
great.
Claude Rains so much in that I see these two people who are sabotaging him, and maybe it's because I'm a toad in real life, but the whole idea that, the beautiful people, of course, should be together, and the ugly guy, he should be the one who gets killed by the Nazis. The same thing that drove me crazy about Oklahoma.
Well, he was also evil.
Oh, when they killed Rod
Where the Rod
Steiger
Steiger
movie.
character, because he's poorer, he's the bad guy.
But was he the bad guy because he was ugly, or was he ugly because he was the bad guy? Like, he
Both.
was dealing nuclear material. He wasn't a saint.
Oh, no, he is a bad guy. Claude Rains is a bad guy, but because Claude Rains is such a good actor, he makes you love him anyway.
Well, that's true,
Yes,
for
he's
sure.
Such a good actor.
But
And-
he's one of those good villains where you believe that they believe that what they're doing is right.
Yes,
Yeah.
and where I didn't like the movie is I felt that Cary Grant in particular was being just nasty to Ingrid Bergman, and she
Fell in
unlike
love with him for some reason, right?
Well, I understand why she fell in love with him because they're both really attractive, but that whole thing of him wanting her to do the job, and then when she does it, he's mad at her. It seemed like stop it. Both of you go see a shrink now and get over this.
I think there's a lot of stuff in that movie that's like that, though, and I always blamed it on the fact that it was such an old movie. But the idea that they would meet and hate each other and then fall in love in like 3 days, like, it just bothers the absolute crap out of me in every movie that it happens in.
that's
But I-
right. You weren't
the
around in the
history of
70s.
No, I
well,
wasn't.
That's the
It
history of the
didn't,
movies, giving
Right.
especially young women the wrong idea about what love is.
Yeah, and
I
so
mean,
you've
really.
got the situation where she hates him, and then they have a 2-hour plane ride to Cuba, and then all of a sudden they get in the hotel and she's madly in love with him. I'm just like, what? This is horse crap.
There's a lot of movies
This
like
is
that.
terrible.
Like a recent one was, what is that one movie? What Happens in Vegas with the Ashton Kutcher one?
50 Shades of Grey.
No, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
That's just wrong on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
I can't think. Like, I agree. I actually really agree with Dan on those movies. I don't hate them, but I don't think that they're properly rated. I think I think that they're just like whatever. Like I like Vertigo and the Psycho. I think those are his best movies.
I agree, and it hurts me to say that because I really like Cary Grant and I really like
Yes.
Alfred Hitchcock,
Yeah.
and yet when the two of them are together, I'm like,
Well, I think Dan may have had the last word. We've talked about films here. I see by the clock on the wall that we have just a little bit of time left. Thank you so much to Armin Fetolagian, Jason Boyd, Michael Gonzalez, and Garen Tanelian for being our guest panelists today. This has been really awesome. A feisty and fiery debate, some agreement, and we've
and
had a
don't
great
forget
time.
to like and subscribe.
To the
Yes, please.
to Unscripted Network, of which our podcast is a part. Just go and Google it, and you will find us and some other wonderful shows. And this is Saran Fox
And Dan Watanabe,
saying so long till next time for Dan and Saran. Take on Hollywood.
bye.